Welcome to the Wilmac Wire. I'm Emily Miller, joined by my co-host, Steve McDonnell. On this show, we talk with the drivers, the leaders, innovators, and decision makers pushing customer interaction technology and AI forward. And because we're proud to call Western New York home, we also spotlight the drivers in our own community, the people and organizations shaping growth and innovation right here. Let's get into it. Hey, Wilmac Wire listeners, it's Emily coming to you from the Toronto conference room in the Wilmac Technologies office. Excited to introduce today's episode. No Steve, because guess what? We just had a really long, awesome conversation with our VP of Engineering, Bob Pease, for the first Behind the Build episode where it was Steve and I co-hosting. So really fun conversation. It's a busy week here at Wilmac Technologies. We're just kicking off our new fiscal year in November. So it was the perfect time to chat with Bob Pease, our VP of Engineering, about our products. This is the fourth Behind the Build episode now. If you want to catch up on what has happened with our product development over the past fiscal year, you can check out episodes 1, episode 8, and episode 15 of season 2 of the Wilmac Wire for our conversations with Bob. And now you can listen to this one and get up to date. This is really the first episode where we've dug into Wilmac Continuity WFM and its building from the technical and business perspective. We talk about vibe coding and how other people within our organization not on the dev team are using vibe coding, but also how Bob has scaled his team to be able to build and support and implement two solutions now with Wilmac Continuity Replay and Wilmac Continuity WFM. We chatted a lot about AI and the opportunities within the operational standpoint and building products, but also within the products themselves, that feature functionality. So that being said, I'll turn it over to the episode. Behind the Build, our fourth one. This conversation is with myself, Steve McDonnell, and Bob Pease internally at Wilmac Technologies. So thanks and hope you enjoy. Let's get started.
Okay.
We're coming live from the Wilmac office.
Yeah.
Like Steve said, not quite as cozy as the recording studio, but hey, we got to make it, you know. Maybe someday we'll have our own podcast recording studio here. I know Steve mentioned it before.
Don't break the news yet.
Coming soon. Sorry. Sneak peek for those listening. All right. We're coming to you guys with another Behind the Build episode. Quarter 4 just wrapped up. Bob Pease, VP of Engineering at Wilmac Technologies. Welcome back to the Wilmac Wire.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. This is the first time I'm joining since Steve has joined these co-hosts. So this is going to be fun.
This is a momentous
occasion. Gonna get some tougher questions.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, Bob, you just celebrated your 2-year work anniversary year. So congratulations.
Congrats. Thanks. It went by super fast, but it also feels like 10 years at the same time.
Yeah. 2 years.
Yeah.
When was that?
November 1st.
Do you remember we had our kickoff over in Serendipity Labs, and that was your first day?
My first day.
Oh, over at the Xerox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
That feels like a lifetime ago, but
I don't really remember that.
All right. So for our listeners, the context of Behind the Build episodes, our fiscal year runs from November to October. So we just finished fiscal year 24-25. Product development obviously has become such a critical part of Wilmac and our vision. So we chat with Bob once a quarter about what's been going on and how that's aligning with the challenges our customers are facing. For anyone listening that wants to hear previous Behind the Build episodes, you can catch season 2, episode 1, 8, and 15. This is episode 23. So I lined these up mistakenly well. But it was a really big quarter for our development team, so we're going to get right into it. Official launch of Wilmac Continuity WFM. We've talked about it enough for the past few episodes with a couple external folks. Bob, you and your team have been working on it for a while, for a hot minute. Can you talk through that experience and how it's been building it from the ground up?
Yeah, it's been so awesome because we get a front row seat seeing this come to life from original problem statement from the customer through all of our iterations, and then being able to be front and center, giving demos to people and getting feedback has been really helpful as well. We're not just out there making up features we think people need. It's truly 100% customer driven. And that's been just an awesome.
Yeah. I mean, how long have you been building it now? Since January of last year? 9 months? 11 months now?
I think TPS came to us in September, maybe a lot earlier. We didn't actually
Yeah.
start the actual build out, maybe until January.
Right. Yeah, conceptually.
And then we had some kind of upfront work that we did before we even let the dev team loose on the project as well. So
Yeah, there's a lot of work in that time frame of talking to TPS, figuring out if this is an actual reality, a business case that we can take a product to the market, to then being like, all right, Bob, let's get this started.
Yeah.
I think talk to that. Obviously, it was probably a quarter, maybe a little bit longer of on the business side of the research and development, figuring out the total addressable market and all that, but also getting commitment from TPS that they were going to help us along the way.
Yeah.
But talk about, once we got that all set up, then how do you dive into, okay, we're building this thing from scratch. We're going to build it pure SaaS on AWS. Customers don't have any option to go on-prem, building their cloud or anything. It's going to be our cloud. Using AI to build quicker than we ever have, with less people than we ever have. Can you talk about how you kind of put that into action?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're certainly able to kind of capitalize on what we've done to continuity replay, right? We have this full product with all the automation in terms of development and building and a bunch of technologies we could bring over to WFM that we knew we wanted to use. So we didn't have to do a lot of work there. It was really us coming up with, well, how do we want to structure our data in the back end? What are the best technologies that are going to support that? And then starting to incrementally build features and demo them internally, demo them to TPS. We had so many demos before the product was even really like fully functional, to get feedback from them, and it was awesome. Our team has been focused on using AI for the last year, really. And I guess I'll kind of say, like, in the selfish capacity, right? Like, what can we use just ourselves to produce code faster and get through things faster? And that's been awesome. And we're really reaping the rewards of having to sit down and literally think about every line of code that we write. Just speeds up our efficiency and gets us really grooving through things really fast. And that kind of ties into, the whole fast mantra. We don't do things perfectly every time, the first time, right? So the more effectively we can get through these efforts, the faster we iterate and get to the final version of it.
Can you talk to, vibe coding, the big technology?
Yes.
People laugh at it completely,
Yeah.
but it's happening all over.
Yeah.
I know you guys are doing that today with stuff we do. We just sat through a presentation of someone at Wilmac who did a great job with it.
Yeah.
Was WFM, when you got guys started it, were you using vibe code to develop concepts on how it would look? I know now you're using it plenty, but
Yeah. So first off, vibe coding is using an AI agent to actually produce code. So instead of writing it, I tell ChatGPT or Claude, whatever it is, I want to build an app that does X, Y, Z, and it literally produces the code for you. And then the very first version of WFM was completely vibe coded, just conceptual. This is what it's going to look like, right? And then we kind of built on that. And that's when the dev team kind of took it over and said, oh, what vibe coding produced was functional, but not optimal for how we want to launch it in the product environment or in the production environment. So that's really where our focus comes in, making sure everything is secure, the code's following our standards and best practices. But the bulk of actually writing it is done by AI, and it's so cool. What I love about vibe coding is you don't have to be a developer to vibe code, right? So to bring an idea to life doesn't mean you have to sit down and write some huge requirement stuff. You can literally produce what you're trying to communicate, right? And then hand that over to your teams. Your speed to get to actually producing things is just so much faster.
You talk to the UI. Obviously, it's had numerous iterations since we started, with a lot of customer feedback now from TPS, but the traction we got on early. I mean, I think we've done over 25 demos. Our pipeline's big, and we just launched this, so we're getting a lot of feedback from customers. Can you talk to how kind of the UI has came about, and was it based off of anything, or did you guys come up with that yourselves just from feedback?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's libraries out there that are available to us as developers, so we don't have to put as much think time into how does this button look, what's the style going to be, what's the size, so things like that. So there's frameworks that we use to make it that much easier for us. we put a huge emphasis for this product on the end user experience, and making sure that it's intuitive, making sure that it looks modern and fresh, and really trying to focus on, if I have to do something in the product, I don't want to have to click around to 5 different places. That's one of the faster our users can get to what they need to do, the better the product is. So that's where our focus has been on for the UI. And again, a lot of vibe coding there too, right? The thing that I like to do when I design a page for our app, I'll literally take a screenshot and give it to ChatGPT. And then my prompt is, critique this from a usability and design perspective. And it gives me a lot of great things. I'm not saying I end up with like, award-winning design out of ChatGPT, but like it calls out the things that I do wrong or could improve upon and make it a really good UI.
That's really cool. Back to the vibe coding, just
Yeah.
a quick tangent. So we're building landing pages for Tim and Jim for an upcoming partner event. And Tim used Claude to build a full-blown landing page, asked it for the HTML, and then it was 100 times better than what we could have produced. So it's real. I consider myself a vibe coder now.
Excellent.
Steve, do you back?
I'm going to town after I saw what Charlie just developed this morning. And to that point, Bob, I don't know, a month ago over the weekend, really hammered home and presented to the group, or everyone out there. We do every other week. And it's seen present to the whole company what the latest and greatest is with the continuity products. But obviously developing Mac, which is basically an AI bot that seamlessly implements our continuity products and walks our end users through training. And that was all obviously done over a weekend, the concept of it, I'll say. But it's more than a concept the way vibe coding is, because you can actually see it in practicality. And then from there, you guys have to actually massage it and make it into a productive production environment. So we're talking a lot about vibe coding, but we should be clear that only gets you to a certain part. So you can basically make a decision. Should we move forward with this or not? So can you talk to a little bit, just on a high level? Once it's like Charlie's stuff today, that was, awesome that he basically puts a bunch of AI for our end users in the continuity replay. And he vibe coded that. We saw it all and it was awesome. Like, if we decide to move forward with that, what are the next steps? How do you guys take that concept and actually put it into a real product?
So I think I have to speak to, I guess, some of the risk that comes with vibe coding, and it's, you end up producing so much code. And then if your development team responsible for managing and deploying it doesn't understand that code that's written, that's where you run into trouble, because then a bug comes up and you're spending all your time trying to untangle all this code that was created, right? So the thing for us to do is just learn what he already created, right? Go through that code, understand what it is, make sure we understand how it functions. And then maybe using AI to further refactor, we call it, which is rewriting the code in a way that makes more sense to us and how we operate. That's really all it comes down to be honest with you. And then from there, integrating with our tech stack. But once the code's working, getting that integration in place, it's just very natural for us as a dev team.
You mentioned the UI, or you asked Bob the question about the UI. I think that goes back to one of the original conversations that kind of stemmed from Continuity WFM, is the fact that we were trying to apply WFM products, which there are a lot out there from the contact center side, that hadn't been iterated on for how many years.
Yeah.
So this kind of gave you a new opportunity to rethink how it was used in the efficiency piece, integrating AI into it, leveraging AI to build it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out too, because I remember those conversations that the other WFM tools didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity to kind of forget what's out there already. And let's talk about how would we reimagine this functioning specifically for consent, right? Like, that's so powerful. Even our schedule view is very different from how any other scheduling software works out there, right? And that's one of the things that really resonates with the agencies we're working with, is that fresher view that makes more sense to how they're actually handling their scheduling on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. We'll talk about continuity replay a little bit more in a bit. So when you came into Wilmac 2 years ago, came into a product that was already, like, the idea was there, it was being built out. You just kind of moved it to the cloud and have built out that. Continuity WFM was from scratch.
Yeah.
So, like, from the technical perspective, what did that mean to really start from the ground up?
It's such an interesting question. I guess, more chaotic, if I'm being honest. A lot of whiteboard sessions, and then me and the rest of the dev team just going saying, let's all go scatter and do a bunch of stuff. I'm going to lean back on the fast iterations again, fast mantra, right? We kind of had to get through a bunch of different ideas. So sometimes we would all go, and not all, two or three of us might go and build the same thing in isolation, have a powwow. Like, which one of these is the best idea that we're going to move forward with? Right. That sort of thing. But it's interesting to compare it to continuity replay because we had more of a plan in terms of what we had to do in the order of operations. But for continuity WFM, we've really had the ability to kind of sprawl out and tackle more ground all at once, if that makes sense, to really get it off the ground quickly.
From the business perspective, like you were a part of that original building of continuity replay, but we didn't have an in-house dev team. Like with continuity WFM, how did you approach it from the business side of things?
I think from a business perspective, it was a little different. Because continuity replay didn't take, a dev team and a lot of investment to get it up and running. We did it very slowly with resources that we knew and weren't building what I would call a modern, great piece of software. So we could move at a slow pace and make sure that we actually had traction and people were coming to us. So the first year we probably only had 3 or 4 customers, and that was okay with the way we did the dev work. For WFM, we were kind of being like, all right, we're going to jump in and build a new. This product has been around since the 90s. The guys who have this product are our partners and vendors in the partners and competitors in the contact center space. So there's a lot more research that had to go into this. We don't really want to compete with them in the contact center space. How are the WFM products? The total addressable market is huge in the contact center space. How big is it in public safety? Where's our kind of target in public safety going to be? Is it going to be large piece apps, 911? Is it going to be mid-market? Is it going to be small market? And really take a deep dive into that. And then going deeper, figure out, are there competitors within the 911? We had an inkling that there wasn't going to be many competitors because NICE and Baron and Calabrio and all the big WFM players, their products didn't fit 911, and that's why the customers were coming to us. So we knew they weren't going to play in that. And then you got to take, you take a risk. Are they going to jump into it once they see us have success in it? So there's a lot more actual market research, I would say, that went in on this. And then even still, there's market research going on today. We get into opportunities where someone isn't using an Excel sheet and someone's using an actual solution. And it's like, we've never heard of this solution. How did we miss that? But overall, what we found still today is true. We believe we're the only WFM solution that's specifically built for PSAPs. We're definitely the only WFM solution that is built for PSAPs that is utilizing AI. I think there are competitors that are around public safety, mostly coming in through payroll type and HR type of companies that maybe can do well with police stations and fire stations that kind of lead into 911. But for the first time in Wilmac, our solution is just right now so much cleaner and better and modern. Most of those solutions, and even looking at the big guys like NICE and Bear, they were built 20 years ago, and they've been trying to figure out how to just stack technology on top of each other. So it isn't as clean as sexy as ours is. So it has been different from business perspective. We did like a hyper quick development, building out a pretty enterprise level product in about a year. And now we're building out our use cases for AI within that. So a lot of it's quick, a lot of it's as you're part of go to market. We've been a reseller, and then even with continuity replay, that ideal customer profile is very targeted, and there's only so much. When public safety, we know our ideal customer profile, but thousands upon thousands of them, and it's spread across the United States and Canada, and that's not even thinking of going internationally yet. So kind of our marketing and go-to-market strategy is completely different from what we've done. So all definitely exciting stuff, but definitely new stuff. And we're definitely having to move at a speed and urgency that we haven't moved with past products, but it kind of matches up with how our company's trying to move. So it's great.
Yeah, I agree. You said fail fast.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about go to market. Like there's a lot of different tactics and strategies that we're pursuing that we don't have that experience with. Go out there, push it, push the limit, push the boundary, figure it out, learn from it, iterate, So yeah, it's all exciting stuff. And we've talked a little bit about it with customer feedback. So Bob, you've been on quite a few demo presentations. What are people saying about it when they see Continuity WFM?
High level, everyone loves the way it looks and feels. Everyone loves the ease of scheduling, a lot of the automation. That's the key thing. Even for some of the existing solutions like you're talking about. If a supervisor, for example, has to mark someone absent and open up an overtime request to backfill that. Like that's like 3 to 4 different screens that they have to go to. And the fact that we have one-click automation for actions like that, and that really drives it home. The fact that everything is all in one place. So many agencies have bespoke processes for things that aren't in the current solution, or if they're running everything off of Excel spreadsheets, it's 5 different spreadsheets that they have to go with different processes. Putting it all in one solution is definitely a huge win for any of our customers. The AI features we have resonate pretty well as well. A lot of customers, we have reporting in the product, and it's great reporting. It's data people need, but then people start to say, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Right. And our approach to that has been like, well, sure, we can, but we don't want to have to go and build like 20 different canned reports, because at the end of the day, some random agency is going to be different data that we're not already providing. So we've been building AI into that. So the user can just go and like say, this is what I need. We'll interpret that and query the data, and AI will get the data back. And like that's super powerful. Folks really love that.
Yeah, I think also, the forecasting tools that have been in WFM for a while are just that much more seamless as being able to utilize AI. That's something now ones that I have never really had. Most of still we find, I'd say 50% of our prospects are using Excel sheets.
Yeah.
So the feedback is definitely super positive for only launching it and only building it for this long. Like and that says to us, all right, it's time to push the gas a bit.
Yeah, and you talked about too, the 50% of them are using spreadsheets. Like Bob, I know you hopped on with people using one of those other HR tools or payroll tools that are out there, and they're like, yeah, and we have a spreadsheet that helps with this part of it. Like it just doesn't do the whole kit and caboodle.
Correct. They tend to be built for specific things that don't have every feature that you're not going to want Saturday needs.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on with Continuity WFM before I move us along? We could probably talk about this.
No, I mean, I guess the question, like, how did the launch feel? Like an actual replay may not really launch it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how was the team? Was the team fun?
Yeah, this was so different, right? I mean, because we spent so much time building it, and for a long time it was just we were building it and kind of demoing internally. So like we as Wilmac all kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah.
The real gratification comes for the dev team when we finally launched and like told the world, hey, it's out there, we're here. Like that's just such a huge milestone to not just have a product built, but to launch it and tell people you can use this and like we can bring you on board, right? That's a huge, huge milestone. So the dev team was definitely pumped. I don't know, and the road doesn't stop there either, right? Like we still have such a huge roadmap with other features we want to do and more use cases. So
yeah, I think I asked you guys for like 18 screen recordings.
Yes,
the weeks leading up to the launch, which is really exciting. And yeah, definitely shout out to your team, Bob. Yeah. They have just really stepped up to the challenge. And I know in our roadmap meetings, our company-wide ones every 2 weeks, like we'd see WFM and be like, oh, I was like, can I talk about it yet? Can I talk about it yet? Can I talk about it yet? So anyway. We'll probably be sharing, I'm sure, what we talking about this more, of course, over the course of the next few months, years, honestly. But kind of going back into Wilmac Continuity Replay.
Yeah.
So that's typically our most common topic of conversation in these behind the bill episodes. What were some of the new updates made to Continuity Replay over the past quarter?
Yeah. We put a huge focus on WFM from our team, kind of our throughput, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not as many big splash things that were used for continuity replay. A lot of our focus was on optimizing what we're doing in the back end. So when we bring on a new customer and they've got a ton of legacy data, how do we do that efficiently so it doesn't take us a ton of time to actually get through these projects, right? So a lot of back end optimizations to get our data flowing through the system quickly and then without us having to babysit it, right? So adding operational things so that if something does go wrong that we need to jump in and fix, we get alerted to it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're holding your cards close to the vest here, but the redaction, all summarization, all that stuff is pretty close to being ready to roll. I mean, I think that brings our product to a whole nother level. Yeah, I don't you guys don't want to dive into it too deep right now, but all that stuff is pretty exciting.
Great. And we're definitely learning a lot. Like every time we do another AI feature, like we take that knowledge and apply it as a dev team to the next thing we're going to do. And we're constantly getting better at it. So super exciting.
And like you mentioned this morning, like Charlie's constantly coming to you about ways to improve the product and think about it from an even bigger perspective, which is exciting. And it's a common conversation, honestly, all the time. That being said, like we have Wilmac Continuity Suite now. We have multiple products that make up Wilmac Continuity, WFM, Replay, Capture, Automated, those sorts of things. How has the devs team's focus shifted now that you're managing multiple products?
Yeah. I mean, our planning's different because we have different customers that we have to kind of prioritize what we're doing, right? For across multiple products. So typically, I mean, we sit down on Mondays and we talk about, well, what are our goals for the week? What are the big things we need to kind of focus on? And then we all kind of jump around, to be honest. So we don't have a specific team for specific products. So we all work on everything. So it's really just prioritization on the big things we have to get through. And then we all go through as a group and talk about who's best suited to kind of work on that. And then do they need help, right? Because if it's Grace, for example, who's going to work on a feature, but she doesn't know some technology or something, right, can come and sit. So that's kind of how we shifted on a team basis for how we handle this now.
Right. And talk about, too, a little bit of the workflows you talked about with Continuity Replay. Like data ingestion is such a huge part of the product. How has that evolved? I know you work closely. Anthony and Mario work a lot on it. Yeah. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of kind of tuning, right? So we get a bunch of great metrics on AWS is one. That's a lot, and you're constantly tuning, right? For all of eternity, we're going to be analyzing this data and then making it a little bit better, that sort of thing. But making sure that our teams, our service engineers and our software engineers are working closely together is a huge part of that. Knowledge sharing, brainstorming together, coming up with the best solutions all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Our kickoff is this week for those listening. Obviously, this is going to air a little bit afterwards, but we were talking about department highlights this morning, and I was trying to find the facts and figures you pulled out of the system. Like I think it was like 185 million or billion interactions have been ingested into Continuity Replay and those sorts of things. Do you remember any of those off the top of your head?
165 million interactions. No, sorry, 185 million interactions, 65 terabytes of data.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. And even too, like you guys are resolving bugs quicker. Like Steve mentioned it before too, like the way you're using AI to change it.
So in the past we never really track software teams. We talk about velocity, and it's kind of it can be a touchy subject because it's a little subjective and. Anyways, we never really tracked it closely. We've tried a couple of times, but some of the things I went and pulled were how many total tickets have we closed, and then how many do we close on average. It's not the best metric. We have more data we could get in there, but we're going to come down to we have two competing priorities for features, and we're going to have to make a business decision of which one we do and how much dev team effort goes into that is going to be part of that equation, right? So we're trying to get better there on measurements. But anyhow, we complete 20 tickets a week with a pretty lean team. We resolve bugs within 2 days or vulnerabilities that pop up. And I spend some time comparing those, to industry benchmarks, and we're well above standard there. And the cool thing that I'll be talking about at the company meeting is like we also as a dev team see room for improvement there. So we just know we can only get better, right? So it's so exciting.
Definitely. And I mean, I have to go back to the AI theme. We were talking about vibe coding. Is that the only way dev is using it? Are you guys trying to think a little bit more outside the box from the team usage perspective, and then also where AI is being integrated into our Wilmac Continuity products?
Yeah. No, it's not the only way we use it. For me, my threshold is anything that I don't want to think about. I start with AI. Here's some great examples. We have a feature and the dev team has to work on it. We have to write up all the tickets for the backlog. It just takes so long. I have a whole chat GPT. And I just tell what the idea is, and it knows how I want to see the work down, and it spits it out for me and it gives it to me. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Similar for recording or creating documentation. Whether it's internal or external, if we need documentation, it's just so time consuming and I hate doing it. So I literally just talk to ChatGPT now and just think out loud what it is. And then it spits out, again, a formatted document based on how I want to see it. And that works really well. So I'm really working with the dev team to kind of go through some of that as well, so they don't end up losing their velocity when we ultimately want them producing code. So that's a cool way. So that's just like our operational side of things. When it comes to in the product, one of the things we have to manage as a business, we're building SaaS products that have to be applicable to any customer. Customer A is going to have different rules and requirements of customer B, and how does that one feature serve all of them? That's complexity for us, right? Because then we're talking about rules and different configuration. That's an AI. That's ripe for AI solving that problem. Rather than us building out complex code, we describe to the AI model what the rules are for the business, and then give it the data, and then it makes those decisions for us. That is really going to help us leapfrog for future development without having to get stuck in the weeds of all these individual customer problems.
And that kind of goes back to what you were mentioning with WFM. Like every PCF's operational structure, the way they go through scheduling and staff management is so vastly different.
Yes.
So how do you standardize and scale that properly?
Correct.
So yeah, very cool. It's exciting to hear you guys talk about it and then showcase it. Like Steve called out last week, Mickey John go through the onboarding agent. You call it in the Mac. What's it called? Mac. Yeah. No.
No, I
You need. Oh, I love it, dude. Marketing hand. I love you. I thought you just needed it. All right, and so we're gonna start talking now about Q1. November to January, all the holidays, think things will slow down. They never do. And that's the way we want to. And we want to keep carrying that momentum. What do you see as next as the top priorities for Wilmac Continuity Replay, Wilmac Continuity WFM, the dev team in Q1?
Driving home some of the current AI initiatives are the big front runners for us in terms of what we're going to be working on for the next few months. And again, it's interesting because we have two products now, right? So like what happens when you learn something great with one product? I'm immediately like, okay, how does this apply to the other product? And sometimes it's Continuity Replay and sometimes it's Continuity WFM. That's kind of where we're taking those learnings from. That's where I'm really putting focus with the dev team, getting down and dirty with how we actually implement some of these like AI agents that are going to actually do things. One of the complications when you're building out AI integrations is the context. How much data are you sending in? And then how do you keep track of, it could be a multi-stage thing. Think about when you're talking with ChatGPT, could end up being like 30, 40, 50, hundreds of messages long, right? And how do you keep all that in context? That's the engineering part that we're putting into it, right? So really getting solid on that and then measuring how our usage is tracking. That's where a lot of our focus is going to be.
Very cool. Can you give us any sneak peeks on upcoming features?
Well, there's the onboarding agent that Steve alluded to. Really stoked about that. That solves a huge problem of training, which is just, it's hard, right? Especially for PSAPs who are coming from an Excel-based approach to scheduling. Now they have to learn this whole system. It's so much. So putting all of that into AI is huge. But really we want to get to AI automating actual things for our customers as well, not just the onboarding, right? Because that's one and done. Once you're onboarding using the platform, that's great. How do we help automate overtime fulfillment, for example, or time off requests, right? All of these things are manual processes that are rule-based for our customers that could be automated with AI. Within continuity replay, call summarization is a big one that comes up a lot, right? We have thousands, millions of calls and all these cool transcripts, but like, how do I know what's actually in my data without having to go through it all? You're summarizing those calls, redacting PII or and PCI.
I think Mac, the onboarding AI bot, I guess you call them.
Yeah.
There's a huge business case for us on that one too. Obviously, we're tasked to building out these solutions so our customers can take advantage of AI to automate certain things. And we're building out use cases that will help our customers. For the bot, they obviously help their customers, but it helps us from a business perspective kind of scale the products. One of the biggest costs to a business with software is training, support, implementation. So right now, we have a target, and most of us know are more mid, but probably upper end counties, 911, 311 that we're targeting going. The larger ones. Having a bot allows us to scale down to the lower counties, to the smaller counties, and price it at a very competitive low rate because we wanted the cost of the training and support. So that, just as Bob's saying, it's not necessarily customer beneficial. It's very beneficial to future customers that we may not be able to. It might not have commercially made sense to get WFM in there. With the bot, it does make commercial sense, and we can sustain, a profit while supporting all these great customers. So I think that's a big kind of a view into the back end of how we're making decisions from a business perspective.
Really good perspective.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. All right. Thinking back on the full year, I'll ask this, I guess, to both of you. What's been your proudest moment for the dev team this past year?
Oh my goodness.
That's a loaded question.
I know. I mean, it's hard to trump the launch at WFM. And in particular, looking back at, how we've had to handle, again, kind of the chaos of it, especially, when we get into the thick of how things have unfolded for WFM, it just became very interruptive. And I get off the demo and get excited to go talk to the dev team. We need to do this now, right? And like how they've kind of risen to the occasion to manage up to me and keep that in check without getting distracted and dropping the ball on other priorities. So I guess if that's a fair answer, it's not really like one atomic thing. It's kind of like how we came together as a team and delivering this product has been the proudest moment.
I think too, I have to shout out like the education that you guys have jumped into when it comes to WFM. I remember after one of the roadmap meetings, you kept a bunch of us in the room and you're like, do you know what WFM is? Can you explain it to me? Like, I challenge you guys to better understand the concept before you fully jump into the product. Oh, yeah, good answer. I'll take it. Steve, from the company perspective, do you have any proud moments or highlights that are top of mind?
Yeah, plenty. I'll kind of dive into. I thought you were going to ask me about the dev team, so I was going to say what I'm most proud of.
Oh, you go for it. Yeah.
But I thought the original, I think it was our Q2, but calendar year, Q1, Bob putting an initiative of having the MVP done, which I didn't know. I didn't think you could turn it around that quick. So I thought that was super impressive. It just started the wheels in motion for everybody and being like, all right, this thing is real. This thing is going. We kept getting traction on the sales side too. So that was probably the highlight and gave everyone the kick to be like, all right, let's move. This is real. A lot of potential here. So that was an exciting time.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting time in general. Like I mentioned, we've got pretty much our entire company coming into the Rochester HQ this week for our fiscal year kickoff. We're doing a Continuity WFM enablement panel discussion with John McDonnell, with Ben Bowen, with you, Bob, and then Evan Arnold, kind of three of the frontline guys who are the ones out there pitching Continuity WFM and chatting to people daily. So that should be fun to moderate. I'm excited for it. So I guess as we wrap up and close another Behind the Build episode, it's just been a really big fiscal year for Wilmac in terms of growth. We just have to keep pushing. Steve, you hit on that often. Momentum. Let's keep riding that wave. Really great timing to record this episode as this is all going on. So thank you to Bob, Anthony, Colin, Nick, and Grace for your guys' continued effort. I think the roadmap meeting is my favorite meeting every 2 weeks for sure. It makes Fridays a lot brighter. And besides that, you guys bring a lot of energy to the office and just play such a big role in culture. So thank you. Until next time in a couple months when we have you on again. Steve, anything to add before we close?
No, thanks, Bob. Great job, the team, and we'll talk to you in a couple months. Excited for a big week this week.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Perfect.
Thank you for listening to the Wilmac Wire. If you like today's conversation, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or watch full episodes on our YouTube channel. You can also learn more about Wilmac Technologies and our work in customer interaction technology at wilmactech.com. We'll be back soon with more conversations with the drivers, those shaping our industry and those building right here in Western New York. See you next time.